Alright guys, so moving on forward, we want to be able to do the four basic functions of using data, stored data. So creating, reading, updating, and deleting. So we can already create a recipe, we can create a user. Next thing I want to be able to do is I want to be able to read each recipe, okay? So the way we're going to do that actually is we're going to start by, let's see if we can run the simulator. The first thing I want to set up is I want to set up the ability to go to a user's home page. And in this home page, I can look at all the recipes that they've created. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, well, the first thing we need to acknowledge is the fact that normally in an SQL database and in classical thinking of how databases are structured, we want to normalize data. We say data is only placed in one area, but data is denormalized in a non-SQL database. Something like Google Firestore, and that's something that you should definitely check out more videos about how Firestore is structured and how things are saved, because we will be adding duplicate data, and it's all based around the idea that putting stuff in one place requires you to call multiple calls during a read, but reads happen way more often than writes, so it's better to have an inefficient write but a very efficient read. Okay. So you can find more information about that on different Firestore resources, but let's move on forward for ourselves. So what I'm going to do is I need to be able to store all the recipes that a user has written as just and if I go to the Firestore, so console here, I want to be able to store, if I go to recipe, IO storage, actually database, sorry. I need to add for every user. Let's pretend I created these 5 recipes. So in addition to their actual content being saved in the recipe area, recipe collection, what I want to be able to do is I want to create a, right inside here, I want to create a new document, or sorry, a new attribute, or field I should say, on each document that is going to be an array of strings of all the recipes I've created. It's actually going to be an array. The reason it's an array of strings is because we can use that just to set up the basic Instagram. If we look up Instagram me page, for instance. So if I look at this, I just need to be able to pull the image, and that's going to be based off of the unique ID of the post anyway. So let's go ahead and start by going to right here, structs, enums, and classes, and we'll say var published recipes. It's going to be an array of strings. It's going to be empty until we tell it otherwise. And then here we'll say, published recipes. Okay, and that'll be same principle. We'll give it a default value of, actually we won't even have to do that. Yeah, we'll just do that. And we'll say self.published recipes is equal to published recipes. Okay, so that sets that. Then we need to go here and say published recipes, copy, paste. Okay, same principle here. Anytime we add something like that, we need to make sure we do the same thing. Anytime we add a new attribute, okay? So I'm going to save it. That's good to go. That should be set for when, especially when you start storing things, okay? And then now I'm going to go to the login view, and I'm going to come and say, when I download the user from the database, what I want, which is essentially when I log in, I want to also make sure I bring their published recipes. Published recipes. Okay, and that's going to be like that because it's optional. And if it can't unwrap it, then it'll just leave it as an empty array. So save that. Okay, and we just had to make one of these. Okay, so now that that's good, what I'll need to do is when I go to the me view, this me view now, we're finally going to do something with it. I'm going to start by putting a VStack inside, okay? In that VStack, I'm just going to put a text that says, actually let's go ahead and kind of stylize it a little bit. So Instagram. Let's just open this tab we had open. Okay, so I like this general look. I'm going to ask for their name, and I'm going to ask for their username, and yeah, I think between just sticking with their name, their username for now. Let's just stick with that. So we'll come here and we'll say text that says name. We'll say username. Okay, and we'll put those in an H stack. Okay, and I'll put an image, and that image will be system name. I just like using this one. First we'll say dot resizable, dot scale to fit. Let's say dot frame will be width 50, height 50. We'll make it 90 and 90. Okay. Re-indent everything. All right, and let me just give it a dot background color. Let's say yellow. All right, and we'll just say dot corner radius of 25. So it just needs a half the width and height. Okay, let's see how it looks. All right. So let's think about a couple pieces we're going to put here. We're obviously probably going to put some follow and some message buttons. Okay. While that's trying to build itself. Let's do that. Okay. And for action, I'll just put that for now. So let's say text. Message. All right. Then probably for both of those, corner radius maybe 5. Okay. Each of those will put a spacer. Okay. And we will give them a, let's just say padding 3. Okay, and then the follow button, let's give it a coloring of background color. Let's do that. Gosh, we'll just do dark blue. Okay, and I know that I'm going to end up needing to import Firestore. I should just say Firebase. Okay. And then this will continue loading. And so when it finished building, it came up with this error. It told us we need to finish a couple different areas. We forgot to say that published recipes, first of all, would be that, and that if we can't unwrap it, it should be empty. And the other thing we forgot to do was in this initialization, we forgot to put empty published recipes. For now, we'll keep it empty on the initialization at the global environment level. Okay, so now it's running. Let's see what we get out on the other side. Just trying to build to make sure that all these corrections we made are good. So there we go. So now let's look over here. All right, looks like a big hodgepodge of things, and that is okay because what we're going to do is we'll go to the me view, and yeah, the reason it did that is because we just needed to actually put all that back into a V stack. Okay. Okay, but I mean the overall elements actually look correct. So last thing this should have been 45, sorry, because that's 90, not 50. Forgot we changed that. Okay, and maybe what we'll do, just since we see some errors right there, we'll just take that whole thing, padding, we'll give it a nice padding, and we'll put a spacer between the two of them. Okay, and look at this one. This one should have a foreground. We'll say, let's look at the Instagram one. What do they do? So they got, they have a black text on this one. So in the message, for instance, it says dot foreground color dot black. Okay, and then for this one, that one should be dot white. Okay, sorry, padding. And yeah, let's go ahead and run it and see what we get. Alright, that's looking a little better. Obviously, there's still a lot to be desired. So, but the point is we're starting to get these pieces underneath. And then underneath that, we will put a scroll view. Okay. So, next up, we'll put that scroll view. Okay, we'll give that scroll view a background color of, we'll just put red for now, just so we can see everything, okay? And then underneath that, we'll actually put, let's just say, for each 0 less than 20. Let's say H stack. And inside we'll put text, put a spacer, and this one will just say, this is a recipe post. Okay. And there we go. And let's just give this a dot height. Let's say 50. Okay, and let's run it. See what we get. We should get something that starts to look like a reusable cell here. Good. I mean, this is really starting to come together pretty quick. So now each of these will be a post, and what we're going to do is we're going to fetch the Firestore. Well, actually, let's look at this. See if we got information from here. Let's go here and say, let's go to tabs, and we'll go to the login view tab. And let's just grab this one line. Let's put that up top, and then say, if anything, let's go to where username would be, and let's make this say env. env dot current user dot name. Okay, and then this one will say username. And then we're not going to keep this long term, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this here as well. I'm just going to write env.current-user.recipe, so published recipes.count. Okay, I'm save it. I'm going to run it. Let's take a look at what it does here. Okay, published recipes.count. Let's just, actually what we need to do is that needs to be right here. Right there. Let's see what that does for us. Right. Let's see what it doesn't like. Recipes. Let's just see what it wants us to do. We'll just run and see what it wants us to do. Save, run. There we go. So if it's unable to count the number of recipes because there is no recipe value there, then it'll be 0. Okay, so get us the name, got us the username. Now next up we need to do is we need to actually figure out how many recipes this person has. So I'm going to actually go to our console, okay, and I'm going to go to these recipes, and I'm going to delete all the recipes, okay. Actually, I could really just delete the whole document. Let's just see. So I can go to the recipes. I can, well, let me delete this whole document. Delete collection, I should say. Recipe. Okay. So all the recipes are gone now, okay? And the reason I did that is what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save everything we're at now, and I'm going to go to new post view. And in new post view, I'm going to find where we were submitting, where we were right here, Firestore submit data, okay? And the next thing we need to do in this Firestore submit data, actually, we need to do one other thing. We need to come and let's look at, if we look here at how we're supposed to be submitting or adding data right here. What we need to make sure we do is, so set a document, there's a piece that I want you to see right here. So update one field, creating the document if it does not exist. So what we're gonna use is this, which is gonna let us add a new piece of information, assuming that that information doesn't already exist. So what that means is I'm going to use this here, and let's find our Firestore submit data function. Okay, and we were using this function essentially. So if we look at right here, doc ref, well, the point of this function essentially was to submit our data to the recipe collection. But in addition, we need to save the recipe's unique ID into the user's new attribute that is a string, that is an array of strings of all the IDs of all the recipes he's created. Okay, I'm going to look at the Firestore submit data function. Okay, and what I need to do is, let's clean this up. I don't know why it's giving us that error. Everything's obviously working. So I took the Firestore submit data function and I replicated it and I duplicated it, I should say, update. Okay, and this new doc ref, it's going to be the same principle. It's going to be doc ref, and that's going to be the same data to, I'm going to say update. Okay, and then I'm going to come here and say updating data. Okay, but there's one key piece of information. So there's the set data. Okay, that piece is what needs to change. So if we look in here, set data, and then there's a merge option. Okay, and we want to say true. And so if I save it and run it, everything should work. So I saved it, I ran it, and it's trying out these. Let's just make sure all these lines still look good. Okay. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to go over to where we had Firestore submit data. Okay. I'm going to write Firestore update data. Okay. And then my doc, I'm going to take all this and I'm going to make small changes. Okay. So doc ref, and I'm going to go to users. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I get all these names right. So users, yep, plural. Okay. And then if I look into the architecture of that, users, which document am I looking for? I'm specifically looking for the document that is env.current user. It's this one right here. That established ID, okay? And then data to save is going to be just this recipe post. It's actually going to be self.env.current user dot, and then the last piece, so this recipe, yeah, that's correct. Sorry, this self.env.current user dot, and then it'll be published recipes. Okay, and right before I do that, I need to actually come here and say, grab that and say dot append, and then we'll write this recipe post dot ID. So what we're saying is we need to add this recipe post ID to the local self current user, and once I do that, then I can update the current user's published recipes on the database itself. Okay, so let's see, dot string. So we should actually, I think, to clear up this entire issue, we should go over to structure names classes, and this should not be optional. We should just leave it empty. Okay. So if we save and run it, that should fix that. So an important thing to remember is that it's id.uuid string, okay, and that this one is technically an array. So what we need to do is we need to go to pub when you're published recipes, because it's a dictionary. All right, run that. I think there's still one more error we need to fix somewhere, right here. Yeah, so this is not actually optional. That should not have been optional. That's what that is. Save it and run it. Let's see what we get. Beta to update, which means we also needed to fix that right here. Data to update. This one should also be right here. Data to update. All right, so that should work out now. So now when I create a recipe, in addition to saving it in the recipes collection, it should also save at least the ID into an array of IDs that I can check on the user's entity alone. So I can come here and say, choose new photo. All right, I'm going to pick this pasta. I'll come here and submit an ingredient. So I'll say 1 cup of flour. Okay, and then I'll add that. Then I will submit the recipe. Now notice we actually still haven't we really haven't actually put any notification for us to know that we finished making this recipe. So let's go ahead and fix that really quick. So I'll save it. And then what we'll do here is I'm actually going to create a counter. I'm going to say, I'm going to add right here when I finish uploading the image, we will say SP alert. Okay, actually we'll put in the completion right here when it finishes uploading. SP alert. And then we will put this entire thing right here. Okay, and we'll write upload recipe submitted. Recipe submitted successfully. Sorry, dot or done. I think that's what it is. Yeah, done is good. Okay, save it. And then we need to make sure that all 3 of these are actually done before I finish clearing out the data. So what I'll do, well, actually one other thing we haven't done yet, we haven't finished uploading the entire set of images for the entire post. Right now we only upload 1 despite having picked multiple images. So what we need to do is we need to go to this upload image function really quick. And we need this now to be an array of images. That's going to be upload images, okay? And we will say for image in images, actually better, for I in 0 dot dot less than or dot 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 count images dot count minus 1. Okay, and we'll say let image equal images 0 or images I, sorry, and then the reference string, we should pull this out. So if anything, we should grab this entire piece right here. Okay, we'll leave this to say image. Okay, we'll go to upload images. We'll find where we had that previously, and it's important that we do it in this way. We're going to say for images, for image in self.images, okay, and then we'll say if, let's say 0 dot 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 for I in 0 dot 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 images dot count, that's what we need, images dot count minus 1, self dot images dot count minus 1. We'll say let image equal self dot images I dot image. Okay, and then we'll say upload image right there. Perfect. Okay, and then the next thing we'll do to make sure that we finished successfully uploading everything we needed, we'll say let var counter equals actions to complete is equal to, it's going to be equal to 3. We have 3 actions to complete. We're going to submit data, we're going to update data, and we're going to upload the image. Okay, so I'm going to say actions to complete is 3. Okay, so I'm going to minimize that, and then in here for this completion handler for this recipe, I'm actually not going to do this recipe submitted yet. Okay, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say func show success. Okay, and say upload image. Actually, sorry, that one is going to be the, I'm going to grab that SP alert that I had. I'm going to put that inside the show success function. I'm going to say at the end of, once you finish the submit data, we're going to say actions, actions completed is equal to 0. Okay, we'll say actions completed plus equal 1. Okay, and then we'll say if actions completed is equal to actions to complete, and we'll say show underscore success. Okay, and I'll take that and I will actually use that as the put that in the completion handler for the other ones as well. Okay, and actually the number of actions we need to do will actually go up with the number of images we also need to submit. So what we'll do is we'll say it's going to be 2 because we have to submit the data and update the user, and we'll say plus self dot images dot count because there's 1 action for each image we're uploading. So for each time we upload an image, we'll do the same thing as well. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I'll save it and I'll run it. And we'll see what it says to us here. Need to get rid of that modification we started making here. So save it and run it. Okay. And so what we essentially did is we kept track of all the things we needed to do for an upload to be completely successful. And Now what should happen is it should try to upload that post and let us know when it's done. So create a new post, say add an ingredient, say 1 cup of potato, and then we'll say chop potato. And click, pick a new photo, pick that one, and I'm going to submit recipe. Okay, so it really didn't show us the thing yet, which means that somewhere along the lines we have to fix that code. So come here, save it, and let's find the last place we had it. So actions completed. Okay, so what we should actually probably do is for check_success, and we'll say to even minimize how many pieces of code we keep repeating. What we'll do is we'll say print and I'm going to put this function. I'm going to write this inside. I'm going to say actions completed, actions to complete. Okay, and then I'll say if they equal each other, then show that. Okay, and then eventually we'll actually also add a function to clear all the data on this page. Okay, so let's just use this check success function. We renamed it check success, check success. Okay, we'll save it. Come here, actually this needs to say I. Or even better, we just say image. Okay, let's run it. Actually, this should be gone as well. So each one should say actions complete +1 and then check success. So there's not even a point in running that one we just built. Okay. So +1 and then we loop through and also do the same thing. So we'll run it one more time. Okay. Ingredient 1 cup of sauce. Let's just pick a random picture. Okay, done. Say submit recipe. So we're not even getting to this function, which means that our issue is actually a little further back. So if we move over to Firestore submit data, our issue is actually because if you look, we use the completion handler only during an error. So what we should actually do is we should move that line into the upload successfully right here. Okay, and then we can go, and we won't even use the error. We'll just say completion. Okay. And then, if anything, we can just write true. Not that we're going to use that, but that's for the submit data. And we'll do the same thing here. We'll go to upload image. Okay. And we want to use, see, for upload image, we had a completion. Did we use that completion? No, we didn't. So I'm going to use it right here into the image upload successfully. Now we'll run it. And that'll likely take care of the entire thing. There you go, recipe submitted successfully. All right, so even though I didn't have, we need to set some validation to make sure that we have ingredients, make sure we have some steps. And the next thing we need to do is clear out the data so we can add a new recipe afterwards, okay? But that successfully worked to give us some visual feedback that it worked, and yeah. All right, so in the next video, we'll get working on some of those other things, and I'll see you in the next one.